Wheel of Comics. What is shaking, YouTube? I am your host, Lawrence, over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and like always, welcome back to the show. Today we have a very special video. Elite Comics 11 was kind enough to share some of their sales data that occurred on AtCon. So if you guys don't know what AtCon is, it is a once a year live online convention that Elite Comics 11 holds. They've been doing it for the past 4 or 5 years, right when the pandemic hit, so LCSs could stay in business, and it's kind of become its own thing. It's a really great time to go ahead and buy some great comics that some of these dealers have to offer. So we're going to check out some of those sales here today, but I want to remind you guys, if you're not a current sub of the channel, do yourself a favor, hit that sub button, smash the like button for me, because it really does help the channel out. Now, with that said, we're going to play a little bit of a game. So I'm going to call this Wheel of Comics. So I'm going to throw out a letter. And of course, we're going to take that first letter of the comics that sold, that they reported to me, and we're going to cover them here on the channel. You guys ready? Let's get into it. So we're going to start off with the letter J, and we do have a couple of comics that start with that letter. And as you guys can see on the screen, I'm going to give you the last sale only according to GPA. And you can see for this one, it is Justice League of America #1 in a CGC 4.5. Now, on the screen, the last sale according to GPA was just last month at $1,056. Not too bad. But guess what? During AtCon, a copy sold for $1,350, $300 over that last sale. Is this book heating up? I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments. Up next is a copy of Journey into Mystery #83, of course, the first appearance of Thor. This one offered up in a CGC 4.5 with off-white pages. Now, as you guys can see on the screen, the last sale of this book in this grade was $8,100 just last month. So what did this book sell for at AtCon? Right at the last sale of $8,100. Not too bad for a big Silver Age Marvel key. So for the letter A, we have 5 Amazing Spider-Man books that were sold during AtCon that were reported to me. We're going to start off with Amazing Spider-Man #1 from the 2022 series, the Sketch Hustle variant. Now, this book was sold in a CGC 9.8, and as you can see on the screen, the last sale for a 9.8 was $625 just this month, October 2024. Guess what this book sold for? A whopping $800. Someone must have really been in the hunt to own this book. Next up was one of my favorite books of all time. It is a copy of The Amazing Spider-Man #316 in this classic Todd McFarlane cover. This is also the first cover appearance of Venom. Not only that, this book is in a 9.8 and is a newsstand issue. As you can see on the screen, the last sale according to GPA in a 9.8 newsstand was way back in August of 2024 for $935. But guess what? During AtCon, we had another big sale of $1,100 that occurred during one of the live streams. The one thing I'm noticing so far in this video, we had 3 sales all over GPA. So what does this tell me? Are we starting to get a little bit of a bump in the market? You guys tell me, what do you think? Next up, we have another big Amazing Spider-Man key, this one from the Silver Age. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man #2 in a CGC 3.0. You guys know what this is, the first appearance of the Vulture, but this is also the 3rd appearance of Spider-Man overall. Now, as you guys can see, the last sale according to GPA was just last month at a whopping $2,099. Guess what this book sold for during AtCon? $1,850, $250 off that last sale. Next up, another big Silver Age Spider-Man key, this one in high grade. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man #13 and the first appearance of Mysterio. Now, this one in a CGC 7.0 with white pages had a last sale way back in August of 2024 for $2,125. At AtCon, though, if you were paying attention to the live sales, you could have picked this book up for only $1,900. I'm shocked that this one around a 7.0 is only going for under $2,000. And we're going to end the A category with Amazing Spider-Man #64. But not only that, it is a rare CGC 9.8 copy of this book. Super hard to find a Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man book in a 9.8. Regardless, you can see the last sale on this one was way back in June of 2024 for $2,400. What did this book sell for at AtCon this year? A measly $1,800, $600 off the last sale. So then, of course, we have the letter S, and there are a lot of great books that start with that letter. So we're going to take the big one first. It is a copy of Strange Tales number 110. We all know what this book is, the first appearance of Doctor Strange. Now, this book does suffer from a horrible cover. We all know that. But this copy in a CGC 4.5 with off-white pages last sold in October 2024, just this month, for $2,157. But what did this book sell for at AtCon? A measly $1,900. Not bad for a big key of a major Marvel character. Next up, we have a rare copy of Spawn number 1, a black and white edition in a CGC 9.8 that was sold during AtCon this year. Now, I tried to look everywhere on GPA to get the sales data for this book, and I could not find it anywhere. With that said, I do not have a GPA last sale, but what I do have is the sale that occurred at AtCon this year, and it was an insane $2,400. So I want somebody out there to chime in right now. Do you know what this book is going for in a CGC 9.8? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below if you know what this book is worth. And then, of course, we have a book that was super hot years ago, and I think it's starting to pick up a little steam right now. It is a copy of Silver Surfer number 3 and the first appearance of Mephisto. Of course, we do have confirmation, I think, that Mephisto is going to be showing up in the MCU for real this time. Either way, you could see this book in a CGC 7.5 with off-white to white pages, last sold in September of 2024 for only $552. But the sale that occurred at AtCon for this book was only $500, $52 off the last sale. What do you guys think? Is this book going to get hot again? You know what, the letter F, we got to talk about Fantastic Four. And there were a total of 3 books that sold that were reported to me from the AtCon live sales. We're going to start with my favorite. You guys know what it is. It is a copy of Fantastic Four number 12 and that's iconic Jack Kirby cover. The first time the Fantastic Four meet the Incredible Hulk. Now, this book was offered up in a CGC 4.0 with cream to off-white pages. And the last sale on this book in that grade was only $950 just this past month. So what did the book sell for at AtCon? $920, $30 savings, not too bad. As this book finally bottomed, it really took a beating once that Fantastic Four news came out that they were going to show up in the MCU. Again, you guys know I love this cover, so to me, it's a must-own if you're a Fantastic Four fan. Then, of course, we have the big boy, Fantastic Four number 4, and the first Silver Age appearance of the Submariner. But not only that, this book is a CGC 3.5 signature series book signed by the great Stan Lee himself right on the front cover. And again, an old Stan Lee signature, which to me makes all the difference in the world. With that said, when I looked up this book, we didn't have a sale of a 3.5 signed by Stan Lee since February of 2018. Guess what this book sold for? Above that, $2,100. We all know once they announced the Submariner to show up in the MCU, which he did in Black Panther 2, this book just freaking collapsed. I'm happy to say this book sold $100 over the last sale, even though the last sale was nearly almost 6 years ago, believe it or not. Either way, I'm going to tell you guys this, and this is how I feel about collecting Silver Age keys, especially the big ones like Hulk 1, AF-15, all those big ones, and I'll include FF number 4 in that. I like to have these books signed by Stan Lee. It really does make a difference when collecting. And the last Fantastic Four book we're going to talk about today is another crossover between the Hulk and the Fantastic Four. This one is FF number 25 and the actual first time that they actually fight. This is a CGC 7.5 copy with off-white to white pages that last sold way back in August of 2024 for only $576. Guess what this book sold for? Right at that, $575. Not too bad if you're an FF fan. Either way, classic first battle is a must-own for any Marvel fan. So, of course, then we have the letter B, and how can we not talk about Batman? Here we have one of the best covers that has ever been done, an homage to Detective Comics number 31. It is Batman number 227. This one in a CGC 5.0 with off-white to white pages. The last sale, according to GPA, was just last month at only $650. What did this book actually sell for? $625, $25 off that last sale. At one point, this was the hottest book on the market. Everybody was going for this thing. They were flying off live sales, flying off consignment pages. I'm happy to see this book cool off a little bit. If you don't own your copy, now may be a good time that all the hype has died down. N is for NYX and Laura Kinney. How could we not talk about this book? NYX number 3. Once a really sought after key, and it only started heating up again, of course, when we got her back in Deadpool and Wolverine. This book in a CGC 9.8 with white pages, last sold this month for $1,000. At AtCon this year, though, we had a $100 increase, selling for $1,100, $100 over the last sale. X marks the spot with this book. It is a copy of Uncanny X-Force number 5, the Monera variant, in a CGC 9.8 with white pages that was sold during AtCon this year. The last sale on this book in a 9.8 was way back in August for $750. What did this book sell for during AtCon? A cool $650, $100 off the last sale. Not too bad for a modern key I really wasn't familiar with until this sale. E is for Edge of Spider-Verse, of course. Not only that, Edge of Spider-Verse number 2 and the first appearance of Spider-Gwen. This book at some point was one of the hottest books out there and one of the top 2 modern books available for purchase for collectors. Either way, we had a CGC 9.8 with white pages that last sold just this month for $652 according to GPA. What did this book sell for during AtCon? A cool $625, saving someone $25 off the last sale. Now, this book at one point is worth about $1,200 to $1,300 in a 9.8, so shaving down 50% I do think is a good buy if you're a big Spider-Verse fan, especially when we're talking about Spider-Gwen or Miles Morales. And the last book we're going to talk about today, how can we not talk about Wolverine, right? This is one of the hottest books on the market right now. You guys know I do the Hot 10 Comics of the Week breakdown, and this book was all over that list for at least a year's time frame. With that said, we have a CGC 9.8 Wolverine number 1 from the limited series in an old CGC label with a last sale this month for only $443. Before I give you the sale on AtCon, remember when people were paying upwards of $700 for this book in a 9.8, and I was saying it was incredibly ridiculous, and people were coming at me left and right saying I was wrong? I am not wrong. During Elite Comics 11's AtCon, we had a sale of $575, $130 over this last sale. I always tell you guys with this book, there's a lot of copies out there. If you just want to own it, I'm glad to own it. And 9.8, you really have to pick and choose the copy that you want to own and how much you want to spend. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, this is just kind of like a fun way to go ahead and report some of the numbers during AtCon, and I'm really thankful for Elite Comics 11 to go ahead and provide me with some of these sales data, because I do think it's important, guys, if you're actively buying comics, you know, vintage comics, that you know what current sales prices are, because GPA doesn't always tell the full story. I hope you guys know that. I know we do a lot of GPA sales video on this channel especially, but you really have to look at Instagram consignment page sales. You have to look at live sales if you're on them all the time. Comic Link, because Comic Link does not report the GPA as well. So keep that in the back of your head if there are books that you are looking for. But these are some of the best books that were sold during AtCon this year. So again, do what you want with the information. If you're interested in buying some of these books, make sure you're keeping your eyes out for the consignment page, not just Elite Comics 11, but all of them out there, because they're constantly putting out great books for sale if you're looking for certain things. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.